between them and see, because it really helps you to make out the difference between something that is just boredom or a more serious form of separation anxiety. Okay, so the next thing that we really consider is whether or not your dog has some kind of aggression. So when I'm saying aggression, I mean, does your dog look at other street dogs on the road and maybe start barking? And that can also translate to something that looks like separation anxiety, because at your home, when you're not there, your dog could be hearing other dogs or listening, getting the sounds or the sight. Maybe a balcony is open, maybe a window is open, and your dog could be reacting to that particular sound. Some dogs who are very sound sensitive, like they're getting anxious during Diwali, that might be another correlation that is happening. So sound sensitivity can also end up looking like separation anxiety, because your dog is home alone and they hear a loud sound. It could be just a bike backfiring, it could be a sound of a cracker or something, and in their fear they panic so much they start destroying things, or they urinate, or they really start barking, right? And when you come back, you find a destroyed sofa, you find a bed which has been all chewed up, and you could mistake it for separation anxiety. So that is something which we call redirected aggression. It could be due to fear, it could be due to frustration. Sometimes a dog in heat, if your dog is not neutered or spayed, sometimes that could also cause symptoms that look like separation anxiety. Now, after this comes one of the more interesting forms of separation anxiety, which is attention seeking. So how many of you have dogs? And I would really like to see the responses in the chat box. If anybody's dog who starts crying or whining the moment you come home or when you're leaving the house. So does anybody have that, in which you see a lot of crying and whining when you're either leaving or entering the house? See, this is why it is important to set up a camera, because if you're out for 1 hour and your dog is only doing the crying, whining, jumping, barking, really panicking only in the first 10 minutes or in the last 10 minutes when they hear you come back in the house, then that's a different issue. That's an issue of attention seeking. And it can look quite similar to true separation anxiety, right? And your dog may, in that 5 to 10 minutes of destruction that they do a lot of it, a huge amount of destruction they'll do. And it just happens in the first 10 minutes and in the last 10 minutes. So what you have to understand is, in this case, your dog is thinking that if they do this behavior, whether they're barking really loudly, whether they're howling or they're chewing up things, that is going to make you come back into the house, or it is going to make you enter the house. So this is a misunderstanding in your dog's mind, or rather I would say a really smart understanding, because it does work from their point of view. Every time they chew up something, obviously you're coming back. It's very difficult to understand it from our point of view, but for your dog, this kind of behavior has completely worked. They've chewed up a cushion, and what it has made you do is come back into the house. Obviously, you're always, every single time you go, you are going to come back in the house, and your dog thinks, oh, I'm controlling this behavior in my human by chewing up these things. So you have to be very careful in this, because your dog is already very stubborn, and probably a little bit of training will help in this situation. You have to understand that you're a dog that is trying to get attention, whether by doing this behavior when you're leaving or entering, is actually getting a lot of attention from you already, and they're getting it for the wrong reasons. So you have to do a little bit of training to teach them the correct ways to get your attention. So in this case, play a lot of games with your dog. Play very structured games. Don't play games in which your dog can really push you around or make you do things. You have to make your dog do things. You can also, in this case, teach your dog how to relax on a bed, or teach other things that can make you come back in the house. Because remember, your dog is thinking that if I do this, if I do the naughty behavior, my parents will come back into the house. Okay, so till this point, none of the behaviors, the causes that I talked about, had anything to do with actual separation anxiety. They were just symptoms that were looking like separation anxiety, and they can be huge problems by and in of themselves. So even attention seeking is one of the worst kind of behaviors you can have in the dog, because it's very difficult to train it out of the dog. But with, again, remember, the exercise is very important. You can give them different things to do in their free time, or in your free time rather. When you're with them, you can give them games, you can give them training, you can get snuffle mats, puzzle toys, all of that. Now I want to move on to more serious issues. So in this case, you'll see what is on the slide. So you'll see large puddles of urine, you'll find even diarrhea is happening, you'll find vomiting happening. And this is actually, we are moving into true separation anxiety. And what is happening here is an actual real panic attack in the dog, right? Your dog is actually having anxiety issues, and it's a real issue in the brain. The neurochemicals are totally off, and your dog is not in control of themselves. They're not in control of this panic reaction that they're happening. And again, so here's where your camera will come very useful, because you'll see your dog panicking and pacing up and down in the house, then drinking water, stopping, and then doing that really sweating and panting, and then again starting walking up and down, barking a little, doing a little bit of urine, then again drinking water, completely for the entire duration that you're not in the house. So let's say you're out for 1 hour. From the start of the 1 hour, it will peak at around 15 minutes, and then it will decrease and just sort of plateau till the time you're back. And your dog will be extremely relieved once you're back, right? So this is the difference between attention seeking or boredom or redirected aggression. In boredom, your dog is doing it little bit of maybe one or two particular kind of textures only. Maybe your dog is chewing only wooden sofas, or your dog is only chewing rubber shoes or slippers. And in attention seeking, they're chewing everything that is accessible to them. In redirected aggression, in which your dog is reacting to an external sound, they are chewing something that is near that window or balcony. And now what we're talking about, true separation anxiety, they'll be chewing up your items. So this is another classic sign. So let's say you sleep on a particular pillow every night, or you sit on a favorite chair. So those are the things. You'll see urine over there, you'll see all the destruction over there, you'll see your dog has drooled huge amounts right on your pillow, or is sleeping on your pillow the whole time, right? So this is what we call a true separation anxiety. And has anybody seen this in their dog when they really see?
Niti, just 1 second. I think Neha has a question.
Yeah.
I will let Neha ask her question. Neha, please go ahead.
No, there was no question. I raised hand quite a long time. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Okay. So now, Nidhi, actually, I have seen that not in my dogs, but I have seen that in my brother's dogs. They start howling. We actually installed a camera to see how and when it peaks and how do they behave. I think they have some capacity. They just howl non-stop. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 15 minutes, till the time you don't really come back. The howling just does not stop.
So in this situation, we usually send for a checkup with the vet. A lot of vets, unfortunately, not all vets will be able to prescribe some medications. And because this is an actual panic attack, and your dog is not really in control of this reaction, right? So you will need some medical support in this situation from your vet. And this is something only your vet can do or prescribe. So that's the first thing you do. But a good vet who is giving you an anti-anxiety medicines to your dog will only do so if you have the support of a behaviorist, also of a behavior consultant or a trainer or something, because your dog can't depend on the medications throughout the life. So I've written the names of some of the typical medicines also. If any of you are familiar, they are the same ones that are given to humans as well, called SSRIs. And some sedatives, mild sedatives, are also given. just to start off the training, right? So in the beginning, and as somebody already mentioned in the comments, you've started off with very small durations, leaving your dog alone just for small durations. So yeah, that is exactly how you have to do it. You have to do it step by step. um, you have to, in this case, when you have realized and you have done all the tests with the camera, and you've asked someone to look after your dog, unfortunately you do have to come up with a backup plan. So in this situation, what we do is, initially, while the training is still going on, we will start with, say, 5 minutes of alone time, right? So let's say I do 5 minutes, I leave my dog alone today, and my dog is already on medication, or maybe I've not even found a vet who's able to give medication. That is also fine. You can start the program, but it only starts with 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, you have to come back home. You cannot leave your dog alone at all that day or that week. So in this case, we would really recommend that you do some sort of daycare or day boarding, which you can do with Tailsy also. Tailsy has the app. And how this helps is because your dog has to learn and build coping mechanisms. So when they're alone, they have to be able to self-soothe. They have to be able to tell themselves that, okay, nothing bad is going to happen to me. My mom is going to come back. So when this dog boarding happens, the day boarding happens, you leave your dog in the morning and then pick up in the evening. And till that time, some other human is there. You're not there. And your dog learns, okay, if my parent is not there, somebody else is there for me. My entire survival is not dependent on one person anymore. That is a very important thing. Typically, these dogs who have true separation anxiety do come from, maybe their rescues. A lot of indies or any dogs who have had trauma early on in their lives have true separation anxiety, or they had some issues when they were with their mother. Maybe they were separated too early from her. So all these reasons, again, I don't have the time to go in detail with this, but having a backup plan is important. Then we do something that is called scrambling the queues. So scrambling the queues is when I will tell my dog that if I pick up my car keys, for example, that does not mean that I'm going to go outside the house. I'm just going to go and sit in the kitchen. And then I will wear my shoes, my running shoes, and I will not go outside the house. I will start watching TV instead. So I'm making the dog a little confused about what is the meaning of all these cues when I'm leaving. Picking up keys is one, wearing shoes, wearing nicer clothes, putting on perfume, all these things the dog is watching. And what this does is it just increases the amount of anxiety in the dog. Even before you leave, your dog will be, don't go, don't go, don't go. And your dog will start reacting just before that. Has anybody noticed that in their dog, in which they're able to predict that you're going out and start panicking just before that? If yes, please do write in the comments. Structured attention really helps. Crate training really helps. I'll give you some more strategies one by one. With one thing is calming music. And again, this doesn't have to be when you're not in the house. I'll repeat it once again. When you're starting from today, let's say you've realized, okay, today this is the problem exactly. Maybe my dog has attention seeking and not true separation anxiety, or my dog has boredom and none of the more serious forms of anxiety. Whenever you do start, don't leave your dog alone at all as much as possible, and try all the things in front of you. Don't buy a new toy or a new bone and leave it with your dog and then immediately you leave the house as well. Your dog is not going to chew on that bone. They're not going to play with the toy, no matter how expensive or how nice it is. So you have to do it in front of you. So you take, for example, a Kong toy. Has anybody first, right? What is a Kong toy? If that comes as a yes, then I will just explain what a Kong toy is. But let's say you stuff it with something and it has to be something sticky, say peanut butter or something. So today I will give it to my dog for 5 minutes. When my dog is sitting in front of me, I'm not going to talk to the dog. The dog is just going to have the peanut butter. Then for the next 5 days, I will just keep giving the dog this peanut butter with the Kong toy for say 5 minutes, increases to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And on the 6th day, then I'm going to leave the house for say 5 minutes, only 5 minutes. And at that much time, the peanut butter Kong is with my dog. Why this is important is because I don't want my dog to take this as another reason to start panicking. They'll be like, I don't want them to make the association that, oh, there's a toy, my parent is giving me something to do, that means they must be leaving the house. I will not chew this, I will not touch this, and instead I will start panicking. So you don't want to do that. You want to build a positive association with that toy, with your presence. So this is really important. Do be very careful with this, that anything new that you start from today, do it in front of you, and for at least a week or two, keep doing these exercises with you in the house. Only then you leave the house and your dog is alone only for 5 minutes, and the next day for 10 minutes, and the next day for 15 minutes. So be very careful of this. Yes, it's not important for your dog to be able to eat anything, but is there anything else that they're doing in that much time in which they're not at home, in which you are not at home? Most of the separation you'll see it going down by almost 30, 40, 50% if you just take your dog for a walk in the morning before you leave. And it should be a nice long walk, if possible for a full 1 hour. If you can't do it yourself, definitely get a walker. We have walkers also on the Tailsy app, and it just reduces the separation anxiety by so much, because of couple of reasons. Your dog gets to see the outside world, nature, just enjoys themselves, has a nice pleasant walk, so their mind is not thinking of fearful things. They're not thinking of anxious, that that vicious circle that starts in the mind. That is not happening. Secondly, your dog is physically tired and probably hopefully wants to go to sleep a little bit. uh, and the third thing is, your dog has a fixed routine. Dogs really like routine. So if you can, as much as possible, try to keep the walk times fixed. That is the biggest tip I can give you, is do 2 walks a day, one before you leave, one after you come back, and make sure these timings are fixed as much as possible, and you don't change it from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, or from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. It's just maybe from 7 o'clock to 7:15 or 7:20. That much you can do, because then your dog is like, okay, fine, I can wait till 7 p.m. because they're going to come back and they're going to take me for a walk. So okay, I'll wait. If you don't give them this structure, they will again start panicking, because I have no idea when I can go out and I can relieve myself from the dog's point of view. So they will keep having that anxious thoughts in their mind, that I have no idea when they're going to return, when I'm going to get my walk. And on the days, of course, it's not possible for us to maybe maintain a routine every single day. So again, a dog walker really helps. Dog boarding really helps, and following, doing everything in front of you starting from today, and building new associations with whatever activities you give to your dog. If I can just ask for the slides in which we have some ideas for the activities.
So,
There,
Nidhi, Neha again has a question. I'll ask her to ask the question first. And one comment here. So, like with my dog, the issue is that if he'll not get distracted with anything, be it the toy or be it music. If he has understood that we are leaving,
exactly.
if he has caught on to that cue, then it is absolutely impossible to do anything to calm him down. I'll also just ask Neha to ask her question.
Yeah.
So you were talking about taking dogs to walk with help of walkers.
Yes.
So I usually take my dog to walk around 30 minutes twice a day.
Yeah.
But then at times we don't have time, and 30 minutes is not enough again. So I
Correct.
was thinking of a walker. But then one fear that I usually go through is the dogs on the road who, randomly, unpredictably come and bark at my dog.
Yes.
And I have a husky, so he rarely barks back, but he
Yes.
just makes faces or howls a little bit inside him.
Got it.
But then, like, I usually get really anxious looking at those dogs and might attack
Yeah.
him sometime. So,
Yeah.
how do these walkers take care of that?
it would actually be better if somebody else takes your dog for a walk, because sometimes if you are feeling anxious, your dog can pick up on that and feel anxious themselves, right? Because you're reacting, you're trying to run away, or you're getting startled, so your dog will also learn the same thing. Remember, dogs are, they really love you and they watch you what you're doing, so they will follow your example. Now whether a husky would like to follow your example or not, because they're very independent thinking dogs, and it's actually good that he doesn't react much except face making faces. But I would so dog walkers, they're probably walking other dogs in the same area, and the stray dogs in your area would be familiar with the walker, right? And dog walkers, they do so much of work the entire day, their body language is much more confident, and again, like I said, the dogs would probably be familiar. So you can try it. It's definitely a good option, especially because a husky definitely needs more than 40 minutes. 30 minutes to bilkul bhi nahi, but probably like an entire full hour of walking they will need.
Okay.
And not always possible to do it yourself, right? Like it's a lot. 2 hours in a day is a lot. So if you can give that work to someone else, that would be absolutely ideal. Now, again, I'll go to Mansi's question, which was really interesting, is your dog starts picking up on the cues, right? Any hint that your dog gets that my owner is about to leave, your dog will start panicking, which is absolutely true. They look at things like even things like what kind of clothes you're wearing, what kind of shoes. Shoes are a big indicator, because most of us, we have different shoes for indoors and different shoes for going outdoors. So they really pick that up. Picking up certain bags or objects, like I said, car keys or a particular bag or a briefcase that you're picking up, these things are indicators for the dog. So one part of the training that we do is we scramble these cues. So I will tell Mansi, today you wear your running shoes and you go and you eat your lunch while wearing your running shoes. I mean, your house will get dirty and everything, but I mean, it's worth it to do it, because now your dog is utterly confused. And you don't do this once, you make a regular habit of this. Then tomorrow you wear your shoes and then start watching TV, and watch your TV for at least 1 hour, so that your dog doesn't understand that this is just a trick you're playing on them. Then you have to come up with creative ideas like these every single day. Make a list of everything that you do before leaving the house and try to scramble them. Do them at different and unexpected times in the day. Then the second part of this uh, solution is giving your dog something to do while you're not at home. And you give this something to do, whether it is a Kong toy or something to chew on, or um, sleeping, even sleeping on a bed, sleeping on a particular dog bed, or staying in a crate. All of this, you have to do it in front of you for the first couple of weeks, ideally weeks. But even if you're able to do it for several days, say up to 5-6 days, um, then only give it to your dog. So let's say today I give my dog a bone. It's a very nice bone that I can get from some websites called Canine India and all. There are a couple of different brands which make these raw bones, or even say a yak chew. And I give it to my dog in front of me, and my dog learns that, okay, there's nothing to do with this bone except that it is very tasty, it is very yummy, it is very nice to eat. It doesn't make any difference to my owner, it doesn't make my owner go away. Because if you give a new chew toy, say a yak chew, to your dog today and then immediately leave the house, your dog will be like, I'm never touching this bone again, because it makes my owner go away from the house. So you have to do it in front of you, and you have to do this. You have to make your dog chew on the bone or chew on the Kong toy. You have to do all the crate training also with you in the house. And I understand this is a huge challenge. This is one of the main reasons why separation anxiety is not easy to solve, because you have to figure out a way for at least a month in which your dog is not left alone at all. So in this case, take the help of your neighbor, take the help of your family members, take the help of, if none of this is available, then of course the daycare or the day boarding, right? But you really have to do this. You have to start all the new strategies and all the training in front of you. Your dog can't be left alone, because your dog is going to be absolutely as clever as Mansi's dog and guess that, okay, you're only giving them this toy to so that you can leave the house. Okay, so there are some other treatments also, like some non-medical ones. Adaptil is something I have tried personally. It works on some dogs. On some dogs, it will make absolutely no difference at all. CBD oil, same thing. Homeopathic, L-theanine, unfortunately, it's only a 50% chance that it will work or not. It's worth trying, especially if you have a very serious separation anxiety issue and you're struggling to find a vet who is able to prescribe medicines. Then there is something called a thunder shirt. If you see, this dog is wearing a muffler around the ears. So it makes the dog feel actually like really comfortable and, you know, sort of cozy and swaddled up. It's like swaddling a baby. So this is called an anti-anxiety ear muff. And again, you have to do this in front of you first. Don't put this on and then just leave the house. Of course, it's a hazard. Then there's a particular kind of massage called T-Touch. Again, these are all working to reduce those anxiety sort of hormones that are running in your dog's body. Say there's a lot of cortisol in dogs who are anxious. There's a lot of adrenaline in dogs who are anxious. So a little bit of massaging, a little bit of relaxing, cuddling with your dog will really help. And as much as possible, do this on schedule. So let's say today is a weekend, today is a Sunday. And on Monday, tomorrow, I have to go to my office 10 to 5. So today on Sunday, I shouldn't be doing the separation anxiety training between 10 to 5. Instead, I would do it at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock when I'm 100% sure that every single day at 8 o'clock, I'm definitely home. So for the next week, starting from Monday to Sunday, I will do this training. I will do maybe massage. I will do a little bit of crate training. I will turn on some music. By the way, we also have a curated list of music. So I will turn on the music and I will make my dog feel relaxed in front of me at 8 o'clock every single day. And how this helps is it gives the dog this sort of assurance, this habit that, okay, every day at 8 o'clock, they are going to be at home. Nothing bad is going to happen to me. Nobody is going to come and attack me. Nobody from outside is going to come. Nobody is going to steal me. I am going to get my food. It's very important for these dogs with separation anxiety to also get food on time, by the way. This is not there anywhere in the presentation. But meal timings, try to keep them as fixed as possible. Now, one last thing I want to mention is the medical issues, like sometimes hypothyroidism, or sometimes when your dog has just got a vaccine, they can lead to some side effects which look like separation anxiety. So do check with your vet. Whenever you have a behavior issue like this, always check with your vet whether any of the side effects could be the result of some kind of hormone. Again, it's mostly hormone imbalance, which is why thyroid, you have to get it checked. And you also just every year do get a blood test done in any case, whether you're checking for sugar levels, thyroid, kidney, liver, everything. Because otherwise, you know, a dog who is in pain or who is suffering internally will not feel comfortable staying alone. Even we don't feel comfortable when, you know, when I'm unwell, I would like somebody to be taking care of me and staying at home. So you just have to make sure that it's not actually like an illness or some discomfort that your dog is facing. Okay, any last questions?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, this is a good time to ask those questions. I think, Nidhi, a lot of people in the chat have also mentioned that, you know, once they leave home or when the dog is alone, they refuse to eat anything and they don't sleep as well. And they also don't even drink water. So any comments on that?
If they're not drinking water, then it's not separation anxiety, it is attention seeking. It's not what it sounds like. I'm calling it attention seeking, so it's sounding like, oh my god, your dog wants a lot of attention or something, but they just want you to come home. They're doing everything possible to make you come home. So you have to be really careful how you're greeting your dog and how you're saying goodbye. So it really matters. Say before leaving, are you saying, okay, bye, I'm going to come back soon, don't worry, I'll be back, don't cry, eat the food, drink water. If you're giving such a long bye-bye, your dog is already panicking. So don't do that. Do a very small, okay, bye. Or don't even say bye. Like, I know it's not humanly possible to not say like a bye to your dog, which is why I've stopped saying it to people. But ideally, don't say bye to your dog at all. But of course, you can say a small bye, but don't make a huge deal of it. And whatever you do, try not to go back home once you have left the home. So whether you've forgotten, sometimes people forget a charger or a water bottle or some bag or something, and you go back home, typically that's when you start seeing your dog, from the next day onwards or next week or next month. And we don't notice small things like this. So it's very difficult to go back into the past and see what started it. But usually this is the reason. One fine day you would have walked back into the house, and by chance your dog would have been barking or like doing something at the door, and they realize, oh, this is a way I can make them come back. Your dog loves you, there's no question about this. They do want you to come back. They do want you to quit your job and stay with them 24/7. So that's one of the driving reasons about the less serious forms of separation anxiety. Of course, in true separation anxiety, your dog will get thirsty, they will not get hungry, and over time you will also see them not eating food even when you are in front of them. Or they will have like really bad skin issues also, because that's a sign of chronic stress, because your dog is chronically stressed. So yeah, that's how you can tell the difference. Does
Neha
that
Kashyap has, yeah, Neha Kashyap has another question. So she's asking if calming musics actually are effective for dogs. Do they really have an impact? And even while playing music, do we have to have a positive association with it, or do they start associating calming music with the pet parent leaving the house?
Yes, so there are two ways you can use music. One way you can use it is when you're at home, you play your favorite music, whether it is metal or hip hop or rock or classical, whatever it is. You play it, you dance with your dog, you have fun, right? This teaches your dog. Remember, this is a dog who's anxious, and anxious is just an unresolved long fear of something that they don't even know what they're fearful of, right? So when you're having fun with your dog with music and dancing, you're giving your dog a respite. You're giving your dog 1 hour per day in which your dog is not worried about anything at all, because they're seeing you having fun dancing, doing all that stuff. That is one way. Now the second way is these special playlists that claim to be that they're calming for a dog. They're at particularly frequencies that the dog likes, or it calms them down. And again, in my experience, thankfully it has worked really well for most of the dogs that I've tried it with. But for some dogs, and usually these are the dogs who have extreme separation anxiety, for them it will not work. So that is the music you play when you're not at home. And yes, with anything, you first have to do it in your presence. You have to do it. Don't play the music and then immediately leave the house. Don't play it for the first time today and immediately leave the house. Play it in front of you for a couple of weeks. Okay, so not eating on her own is also attention seeking. Only your dog has made the association. Usually it is attention seeking, and 80% of the cases it is that. But do check with your vet. Has your vet said anything about this, why they're not eating? Because it could be a more serious issue also. Or they could be food averse also. So again, this is not related to separation anxiety. So unfortunately, I can't answer in more detail. But yes, this is very common. It does happen. And in this dog, maybe if she has separation anxiety also, then that would also be related to attention seeking. Yes, with Shih Tzus, they are very fussy eaters. Try to reduce it to only one meal a day. It does not matter if your dog is not eating 2 or 3 times in a day. Just give her one nice, really delicious meal once in a day, and that's more than enough for a Shih Tzu. And make sure your dog is getting 2 walks a day. For all problems, 2 walks a day of at least 40 minutes. If your dog is already getting 40 minutes of walk, give them 1 hour of walk. If 1 hour is already there, then you can come to me and we can talk more about it. But usually Shih Tzus, they don't get long walks. So if they're not getting enough exercise, they will also not feel hungry at all. So it's just make your dog walk and the appetite will be built up.
Sure, Nidhi. I think we'll just take one last question for the day. So basically, there's a very interesting question here where Monica has said that she had adopted an Indie in 2020 and she's going to turn 2 next month. But so Mia used to stay alone for 6 to 7 hours initially. Now suddenly she has started showing signs of anxiety and she cries when she's left alone. Also refuses to eat food given by anybody else. Sometimes she can also cause destruction to bedding and furniture. And she's become very vocal. So yeah, so I think that's essentially her question, that this is started developing now and probably what can be done.
Yeah. So this is an adolescent dog. In my definition, she would still be an adolescent dog. So one thing could be she's probably not getting enough exercise. I do want to know, like, if she has chew toys, if she has some playtime. Some indies can be really high energy, and they should be walking quite a bit. If not walking, then you can use some of the food-based puzzles, snuffle mats, Kong toys, some games inside with her. Again, remember, she's an adolescent dog. You don't want this behavior to set. Right now, her personality is still a little bit in flux, and she has decided this is a great way to be with you. Is she spayed or not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hi Nidhi.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is paid. Nidhi, you trained her when I got her. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, hi, it's you.
Hi, yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, she's paid now,
Huh.
and she has Kongs, she has chew toys. Her chew
Oh.
toys don't. I mean, even the toughest of chew toys, she just kind of
Yeah.
within days completely destroys them.
Correct.
Uh,
So, but I'm sure you're giving her really long walks, so probably her exercise is all fixed.
Yeah, she's getting around 45 minutes of walk twice a day.
Yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, I try to do everything that we'd
yeah.
spoken about when you were training her and everything, but it's just that, now what started happening is that the minute, and I kind of get that scrambling the cues thing, because I think for her, the minute I pick up my car key or my face mask,
Yeah.
and change my shoes, she knows I'm stepping out. And she never used to do this earlier, but now when I open the door, she'll come running from the back and she start jumping on me from the back, as if trying to hold me back and not getting out of the door.
Correct.
And even when I go back home to my a lot of people in that house, when I go
Correct.
to
Yeah.
Sonipat, but if any of them will serve her meal, she will not eat, like even if it's served or in
Yeah.
lunch, she will not eat it till I'm back, and I make her have that food. So it's getting a little difficult, because obviously I've also started going back to office now,
Yeah.
and I stay alone, so it
Yeah.
kind of yeah.
So you can try day boarding for her. It will really help a lot, especially, you don't have to do it continuously for throughout her life. It's only initially to make her used to other people in her life, because
Mhm.
she has to realize that you're not the only person who's looking after 100% of her needs, because she's completely dependent on you at this point.
Uh,
It will help going to a day boarding if she gets and meets other people, other dogs also who might maybe at the day boarding. She'll get a lot of exercise. And
So thank you so much, Nidhi, for this very, very informative session. And we really look forward to more such sessions. Please do share your feedback and also let us know what's the next thing that you would want Nidhi to talk about in her next training. So we'll try and accommodate topics suggested by you as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here today. Thank you.